Good day, everyone, especially to our professor, Sir Milito Polies. Good day, sir. Today I am going to tackle reading skills. As we all know that this is one of the four skills that needs to be developed at early age. And as a teacher, it is our job to mold our learners' reading ability, not just to read, but to comprehend as well. And as we go along with our discussion, please be guided at the following objectives, which are state a definition of reading, enumerate and adopt some classroom practices in reading instruction reflective of his or her understanding of the nature of reading, and explain how schema theory applies to reading and reading instructions. Classmates, this session has 6 subtopics, and I am going to discuss the overview, strategic reading, and recreatory reading. And the rest of the topics are to be discussed by my partner, Ms. Jackie Glasses. Okay, next is schema theory. Ideas on schema theory date back to 1932 with the work of psychologist Frederick Bartlett and the Gestalt psychologist. A schema is an abstract knowledge structure. It is an abstract in the sense that it summarizes what is known about a variety of cases that differ in many particulars. A schema theoretic view of reading regards reading as an active process of constructing meaning by combining old knowledge or prior knowledge to new information encountered in the text. Any text, either spoken or written, does not by itself carry meaning. Rather, according to schema theory, a text only provides directions for listeners or readers as to how they should retrieve or construct meaning from their own previously acquired knowledge structure. And they are called schemata. Schemata represents knowledge about concepts, um, like objects and the relationships that they have with other objects, situations, events, sequences of events, actions, and sequence of actions. Simply put, schema theory states that all knowledge is organized into units. Within these units of knowledge, or schemata, is stored information. Okay, here are some notes on word recognition or word attack skills. The first one is phonics. Using phonics to teach word attack skills involves conscious teaching of the reading code. It involves teaching letter names, letter sounds, combination of these letters or sounds to form syllables, words. What to teach in phonics implies an introductory sequence for teaching consonants and vowels correspondences. As the beginner of the language, we teach learners to vowels and then visually contrastive pairs, the sounds in words, the variation in letter sounds, and word families like bat, mat, cat, fat, and etc. The second one is sight word methods. This is a strategy where high-frequency words are taught without any conscious analysis of the letters that make up the word. This is sometimes called the whole word or look and say method. The selection of appropriate words to be taught as sight words needs to be examined carefully by teachers so that learners' memories do not be overloaded. The correct introduction to this is the learner's own name. Color names and numerical or numeral names are also useful because of their convenient reference. Next is structural analysis. This is the process of breaking down words into their smaller parts in order to help them produce the words and unravel its meaning. When linguists discuss the structural analysis of words, they usually include a description of the following morphology or affixes. Example, distasteful, unhappiness, and the variant inflectional changes. Example, dreams to dreamed and dreamt or dreaming. Next, contextualized analysis. This means looking at the tool language itself in order to find out the materials was shaped to accomplish its function of mediating meaning. Okay, statements which contain definitions, synonyms, summaries, examples, synonyms, or groupings, antonyms, groupings are often embedded within the contextual structure of sentence, passages, and stories. Number five, the language experience approach, or LEA. LEA helps learners to recognize words meaningfully. The words are in context right away. This is a reading approach that is highly dependent on the effective dimensions of teaching, of students. Learning is closely related to students' interests and cognitive needs. In this approach, the teacher adopts methods that attempt to integrate listening, reading, and writing skills development with the already existing language of the child. Leia is designed to capitalize on listening and language skills the learner has already acquired. It emphasizes the relationship among thought, oral language, and written language. So, according to R. Van Allen, he always had this that says, what I can think, I can talk about. What I can say, I can write. What I can write, I can read. And I can read what I write and what other people can write for me to read. Okay, this topic discusses the importance of schema theory in reading. So this includes context clues. This is important for students to be introduced to these additional clues to meaning. Students can extract meaning from sentences and passages by learning about context clues. The first one is the definition. One common way of providing children with an understanding of the new word is to introduce and define it within the same context. For example, the cornea is the transparent outer coating of the eyeball. So as you can see, the underlined word cornea is being defined in the sentence. This is just a piece of cake. Another is synonyms. Uh, the reader incorporation of synonyms within the printed text. For example, I hanker to visit California. This restless longing never ends. Hanker and restless longing are synonyms. Sometimes we have to look through two sentences to unlock the meaning of what has been said. Next, summary statement. For example, Mary is a student who is interested in intellectual inquiry as well as research. She has a curious, creative mind. Mary is believed by many to be inquisitive. Okay, through a summary statement, the reader understands the detailed account of a happening. There are a number of context clues aside like these. For example, simile, which means the words as and like are used to introduce to the reader. A position, antonym, groupings, picture clues, lexical clues, relational clues, and interpretative clues. And here are the teaching tips when we are teaching how to read or we are in a reading class. We must start with the pre-reading activities because it is important. It helps the students become familiar with the background of the text. Then the during reading activity, we have to make them understand the plot, understand the characters, and about the style and language. And in the post-reading activity, we make them interpret of the text, and then the narrative point of view. Okay, this episode presents idea on how teachers can help students become strategic readers. It discusses concepts of strategic reading and shows different students displaying an array of strategies in approaching a particular kind of reading text, ranging from activating prior knowledge to doing the think aloud activity. So this kind of reader here, the key concept of strategic reading exhibits flexibility in the use of techniques to employ when reading. Strategic reading possesses a repertoire of strategies in meeting specific strategy demands. A strategic reader is aware of problems as they rise but does something about them. A strategic reader can classify reading materials and match them appropriate technique to handle each kind. Okay, this kind of reader understands or analyzes how different reading goals and various kinds of text require particular strategies. He or she knows what to choose a particular strategy for reading situation and develops a positive attitude toward reading. Here are the research-based strategies. The first one is semantic mapping. This actively involves in a visual method of expanding and extending vocabulary knowledge by displaying words related to other words or concepts in a relationship patterns. So this is done by assigning students to work in groups and asking them to jot down in categories as many words as they can think or they can think of what are related to the concept explored. The selected concept is written on the chalkboard with spokes extending outward, each waiting for a category list to be attached. An individual or group map makes a great springboard for a writing activity. Next, reciprocal teaching. This helps produce active readers. Teacher and students work together in small groups, with the teacher initially modeling a strategy and then leading students to become the teacher and teach the strategy. This kind of teaching is actually effective. Students' eagerness to learn increases as they see their classmates, models, or act like their teacher. And here are the 4 strategies taught in this way to help students monitor their understanding and learning of text. They are devising questions about the text or self-questioning, summarizing, predicting what's going to happen in the text, clarifying and resolving inconsistencies. Next, the graphic organizers. These assist teacher and students in identifying and clarifying the major relationships between concepts, objectives, and key vocabulary of the lesson through visual presentation. Example for a pre-reading activity. The teacher analyzes the key vocabulary words and arranges them diagrammatically in ways that can highlight the text meaning. Next is the Freyer model. This helps analyze that and test concept attainment and can be used as a word categorization activity. It is essential to present concepts in a relational manner to help understanding and remembering. So teachers should present relevant examples and non-examples of the concept and subordinate and coordinate relationships of the concept. There is an example. What up? Next is think aloud. This strategy teachers verbalizing their thoughts while reading aloud, modeling the kinds of strategies skilled readers use during reading and pointing out specifically what they are doing to cope with a particular comprehension problem. And the KWL variation, or what I know, what I want to know, what I learned. This helps students activate prior knowledge and experience through a prediction chart. Completing the chart helps set purposes for reading and connects students' backgrounds to the concept at hand. And the GRP, or Guided Reading Procedure, this is designed to help readers um, readers improve organizational skills, comprehension, and recall. Actually, this procedure is claimed to be especially useful to high school students or college students in dealing with non-cohesive or inconsiderate texts. Next is request procedure. Request is an acronym of reciprocal questioning, which helps readers cope with text materials. Teacher and students take turns asking one another questions about common portion of an assignment they have read together. Okay, I request help students think and develop questioning techniques and fosters an active search for meaning. This time, let us proceed to recreatory reading. This focuses on reading for fun and leisure. This hopes to help the teacher realize that students will read more if they enjoy what they read, right? Thus, it is important that a wide range of reading materials be available and what students be given the freedom to choose what to read within or without being subjected to testing or to report on what they have read. Okay, here are the balanced reading program. The first one is developmental reading program. This focuses on the growth in reading skills or normal readers, reading readiness, beginning initial reading, rapid growth, and development reading refinement. The second one is functional. Okay, functional reading program focuses on the application of reading skills in the different subject or content areas like math, science, music, language arts, and the likes. Next is a recreatory reading program, focuses on reading interest of students, reading for fun and enjoyment. Next, corrective or remedial reading program focuses on students' reading problems, helping students read below their supposed reading level so that they can cope their studies. Okay, reading in the classroom does not always mean serious study. The focus of recreatory reading is on interest and enjoyment. This type of reading has the following general characteristics. Okay, here are the three. First is free choice. Students are free to choose their reading materials. Their choice often depends on their interest. They are, however, encouraged to read on a variety of subjects. The teacher also may recommend books to read. Next is no testing. Recreatory is stress-free because students are not expected to take tests, answer questions, or make a report on book reads. Since there is no time constraint, each one reads at his or her own pace. Next, the last one is enjoyable activities. Varied activities can be provided and structured reading need not take place. Example, as students play a game, the reading may consist of reading directions on how to play the game. Next is the creative activities. If we push our students into reading, let us include these fun activities. The first one is storytelling. Refers to one person telling a story to an audience. So if you read a story, make sure to tell with expression using your voice, your face, your body, and some visual aids to help the audience understand and enjoy it. Interpretative reading refers to one reader's expressive reading selection. This selection, either prose or poetry, may have story to tell or a situation to reconstruct. Next is reader's theater. Refers to several readers who interact through dialogue rather than through action. Each reader is assigned to read the dialogue of a specific character. Next, the speech choir, also known as a verse choir or choral speaking group. It is a balanced group of voices reciting poetry and other rhythmic literature together. And chants and raps, the speaker recites the piece by following a certain rhythm and repeating certain lines or thought. Actually, these activities are really enjoyable, and the students give their effort, their interest. Okay, that's all of my report. I hope you learned something from me. Thank you for listening. And the next topics are to be discussed by my partner Miss Jackie Glasses.